Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that honestly sounds completely made up. We're looking at one of Hollywood's most bizarre, shocking anomalies, Keanu Reeves' involuntary movie contract. I mean, when we think of the entertainment industry, right, we usually picture these ironclad contracts, armies of ruthless lawyers, and massive agencies protecting their A-list talent at literally all costs. But what happens when that entire system is just completely bypassed, and in the most deceptive way imaginable? Well, let's get right into it, because the facts we pulled from the source material tell this unbelievable story of deception, strategy, and just incredible stoicism.
Okay, let's dive into this with a question that seems, frankly, almost impossible to answer. How do you force a massive Hollywood star to make a movie? Think about those power dynamics for a second. An actor of this caliber, they dictate their own schedule, command massive paychecks, and they have an entire team scrutinizing every single word of a contract. So logically, how can anyone bypass all of those defenses and force an A-lister onto a movie set? It sounds like the plot of a thriller, doesn't it? But the answer is shockingly simple and deeply, deeply illegal.
You forge his signature. Yeah, you literally just forged a signature. It really is that blunt. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't, a verbal agreement gone wrong or some weird loophole in a studio contract. It was outright documented forgery. And the twist that makes this so deeply shocking isn't even just the crime itself, it's who actually committed it. Because as we'll uncover, this wasn't some faceless corporate entity trying to trap an actor. It was a trusted friend. But to truly understand why this betrayal is so jarring, we really have to look at the specific target of this whole scheme. And that target is none other than Keanu Reeves, or as he's famously known, the internet's boyfriend. Now, this isn't just some quirky nickname, it represents this massively positive reputation that he's built up over decades. He's known worldwide for his deeply humble personality, his extreme generosity, and just his universal likability. I mean, he's widely considered one of the absolute nicest, most genuine people in the entire entertainment industry. And that is exactly why this sleazy betrayal feels so completely out of place. You have a guy who is practically universally loved, targeted by a totally deceptive plot.
To really hammer this contrast home, let's just rapid fire through Keanu's legendary off-screen reputation. The sources are incredibly clear on his character. He quietly donates massive portions of his earnings to cancer foundations, and he does it without ever seeking publicity. Despite his immense wealth, he frequently uses public transportation, just sitting on the subway like any everyday commuter. He has an incredible work ethic, famously doing his own dangerous stunts and training in martial arts for months on end to perfect a role. He values his privacy, but maintains a deep, genuine respect for his fans. Plus, his interests are just super unique. He founded a custom bike company, Arch Motorcycle, and even stepped into the gaming world to voice Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077. So keep this saint-like, highly disciplined behavior in mind as we contrast it with the incredibly shady nature of a forced movie contract.
And this brilliantly illustrates the glaring anomaly in his career. Look at this comparison. On one hand, you have the massive, culturally defining blockbusters Keanu is known for. Genre-defining hits like The Matrix, the John Wick series, Speed, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. These are massive tentpole franchises. But then, you have this obscure anomaly, a 2000 thriller called The Watcher. If you've ever looked at his filmography and wondered how this completely out of place, kind of mid-tier thriller ended up squeezed between his massive pop culture hits, well, you're about to find out. Which brings us to the core of the deception, the betrayal. A trusted friend and director named Joe Charbanic forged Keanu's signature on a contract to star in The Watcher. This is a staggering breach of trust. Charbanic used his personal relationship and access to just bypass all the standard industry safeguards. He essentially trapped his own friend in a legally binding document through outright fraud. Just imagine the moment Keanu realized what had happened, that a person he trusted had literally stolen his consent to force him into a project. So, what do you even do when you find yourself in this situation? It plays out almost like a mini heist movie, but, in reverse. First step, you discover the forgery. You realize you are supposedly bound to a project you absolutely never agreed to. Second step, evaluate your legal options. Naturally, the immediate instinct here is to bring in the lawyers, sue for fraud, and burn the whole production to the ground. But then comes the final step, negotiate a strategic exit. Keanu had to sit back, look at the board, and figure out the smartest, most efficient way to get out of this trap without causing more collateral damage to his own life and career. So, the crucial point is exactly what drove his rationale. He was entirely unwilling to endure a lengthy, expensive legal battle. This explains so much about how Keanu operates.
He evaluated the situation and made a highly stoic and honestly strangely on-brand decision. Rather than dragging this mess out into an ugly, public, multi-year court case that would just drain his time, his energy, his finances, he chose a totally different path. And we are impartially reporting the facts here. While many would have immediately retaliated legally against Charbanic, Keanu calculated that the cost of fighting the forgery was actually higher than simply dealing with it head-on.
Let's map out exactly how this unfolded. In month 1, the forged signature happens behind closed doors. By month 2, the discovery occurs. Keanu realizes he's legally on the hook for a movie he never signed on for. Then we hit the year 2000, and this is where it gets surreal. The filming. Keanu actually shows up to set. He goes to work. He acts in The Watcher. He fulfills the role, despite knowing the entire foundation of his presence there is a complete lie. And then, as we transition into the year 2001, we enter a highly specific period of silence.
Now, what's really interesting about this number here is what it actually represents. Exactly 1 year. This wasn't just some random period of time where Keanu casually decided not to talk about the movie. No, this single year of silence was actually a carefully calculated, legally negotiated time frame. It was the absolute centerpiece of his strategy to exit this nightmare and finally regain control over his own narrative.
And that brings us to the secret compromise. It's a masterclass in making the best of a terrible situation. First, Keanu professionally fulfilled the acting role. He didn't sabotage the movie on set. His famous work ethic remained completely intact. Second, and highly importantly, he negotiated minimized marketing involvement. He basically told them, I will act in your movie, but I'll absolutely not sell your lie. He refused to do the standard heavy promotional tours. And finally, he agreed to keep the forgery completely quiet for exactly 1 year. Once that negotiated year of silence expired, the truth finally came out, and the public learned exactly why the internet's boyfriend was in this obscure thriller.
Which leaves us with his final, incredibly provocative thought. How many other Hollywood secrets are buried under quiet agreements just to avoid expensive legal battles? I mean, if a star as massive as Keanu Reeves can be forced into a movie through forgery, and the entire thing is swept under the rug for a year just to avoid a messy court case, what else is happening behind closed doors? It really makes you rethink that polished, perfect image of the entertainment industry, doesn't it? This explainer shows that sometimes the most fascinating stories aren't the ones playing on the screen, but the quiet compromises happening behind the scenes. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incredible source material. And remember to always keep questioning the stories behind the stories.